Hey everyone, it's Anthony here. Just a quick note before we get started. Regular listeners will know that we really pride ourselves on our high audio quality. Unfortunately, we had a technical issue during the recording of this episode that rendered my isolated audio track unusable. This meant that we had to use the master output as my track. And while we still think that the quality of this episode is very high, it's unfortunately not quite as high as our usual standard. Regardless of that, we hope that you enjoy our episode on Arc of Infinity. Watchers in the fourth dimension.
Each and every time the Doctor returns to Gallifrey, there's violence.
I'm simply following orders. We'll start with the telephone directory.
We're dealing with a Time Lord, Doctor. You won't find answers in there.
Hello and welcome back to Watchers in the Fourth Dimension. I'm Anthony.
I'm Diana.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Riley, and if she is an illusion, then you will not be upset to see her destroyed.
This episode, we're talking about the return of Omega for his second appearance in Doctor Who in Arc of Infinity. Of course, this also brings back the Time Lords to us, which will undoubtedly give us plenty of opportunities to talk about what absolute dicks they always are. Very quickly before we start, we are still working on coming back from our hiatus, so we don't have any mail this episode, but the usual disclaimer, we really do love getting your feedback, thoughts, comments, and questions, and when we have enough mail to start again, we will try to read out as many as possible on the show. So please do get in touch. You can contact us through Facebook and Instagram at @Watchers4D, or you can email us at watchers4d@gmail.com. And of course, we would absolutely love it if you subscribe to the podcast, if you're not doing so already, and if you dropped us a review or rating on your podcast platform of choice. We'll start by looking behind the scenes, and this one has its origins from shortly before Eric Saywood became the show's script editor. He watched Season 18's The Keeper of Traken on its original transmission, a story that he greatly enjoyed. But he wasn't aware of the significant rewrites that were carried out by former script editor Christopher H. Bidmead. And so Saywood contacted Byrne at the end of September 1981 with an invitation to submit ideas for Doctor Who's 20th season. It was thought that he might contribute the year's opening serial, which meant that his storyline would have to address some very specific requirements. First, producer John Nathan Turner wanted to take Doctor Who overseas for the second time in the show's history. Of course, a few seasons prior, in 1979, while working as the show's production unit manager, he had been instrumental in arranging for City of Death to be filmed on location in Paris. Nathan Turner felt that Amsterdam would be a similarly affordable location, especially since it was already being used by the BBC on a regular basis for the soap opera Triangle. And to justify the trip, Byrne was asked to make the Dutch city a key aspect of his storyline. Spoiler, he kind of failed. Second, Byrne also had to resolve the ending of the season 19 finale time flight, in which Tegan had been left behind on Earth, accidentally, allegedly. This cliffhanger had been designed to maintain viewer interest during the 9-month break between seasons, but no specific resolution had actually been planned. So as a result, it would become Byrne's responsibility to try to find a way to reunite Tegan with the Doctor and Nyssa. And to prolong the suspense, Byrne was told to delay Tegan's reintroduction until the second episode. When he was approached by Saywood, Byrne was already toying with an idea in which an alien used a bridge between dimensions called the Arc of Infinity to induce time shifts in London. Byrne felt that this concept could easily be relocated to Amsterdam, and it was suggested that a vacationing Tegan might stumble upon some form of criminal activity which would require the Doctor's attention. The production team stipulated to Byrne that this should not involve drug smuggling, the theft of diamonds or old Dutch masters, or any sort of political story.
Boo.
In mid-December, Byrne submitted a storyline initially titled The Time of Neiman. It involved the Doctor suffering nightmares about his regeneration, which were precursors to the arrival in his universe of an entity called the Avatar, which took on the Doctor's form and travelled to Amsterdam. Operating there as Neiman, a name that Byrne had recycled from the Keeper of Traken, the Avatar began to take control of human minds, striving to create a form in which it would be able to permanently maintain its existence. The Doctor and Nyssa discovered Neiman's plot when they landed in a future version of Amsterdam, which was populated by robot guards called Sweepers, the elderly Resistors, and the barbaric Anarchs. Realizing that history had been altered, they travelled back in time to present-day Amsterdam, where they met Tegan, who had mistaken the Avatar for the Doctor. The Doctor discovered that Time Lord regeneration was the mechanism by which the Avatar was made manifest, and defeated it by reliving his own recent regeneration. That sounds really convoluted. I'm kind of glad we didn't get that.
Also, why are we trying to make it about regeneration? I don't care.
Anyway, Nathan Turner and Saywood had immediate concerns about the time of Neiman. Most notably the fact that the Amsterdam location basically was incidental to the plot. Still was in the final version, guys. It was also felt that the importance of the Doctor's dreams too closely resembled elements of Christopher Bailey's Snake Dance, which was the story that was intended to follow the time of Neiman in the broadcast order. Additionally, following the success of the Master's return in The Keeper of Traken...
Oh, gosh.
This isn't quite going where you think it is. Nathan Turner wanted his season premiere to bring back another old enemy. Amongst several returning villains nominated as possible replacements for the Avatar, Byrne reluctantly selected Omega, a Time Lord who had last appeared in Season 10's The Three Doctors back in 1972. His inclusion was proposed by the Doctor Who production office's unofficial fan advisor, Ian Levine. Saywood was pleased with the choice because he wanted to revisit Gallifrey during Season 20.
Boo.
Now called The Time of Omega, Byrne's scripts were commissioned in mid-January 1982. As work on them proceeded, it was decided that Sarah Sutton would leave Doctor Who partway through Season 20. To pave the way for Nyssa's departure, Byrne was asked to write her as being more mature than previously depicted. Of course, that gave plenty of opportunity for Big Finish to write a whole ton of adventures that come between Time Flight and the Arc of Infinity. Having created the character for the Keeper of Traken, Byrne was glad to have the opportunity to further develop Nyssa. Meanwhile, additional references to the past were inserted into the scripts when the Lord President, originally unnamed, was identified as Borusa, who we had last seen as a cardinal during Season 15's The Invasion of Time back in 1978. Increasingly aware of the show's fandom, Nathan Turner decided that he wanted Omega's return to be a surprise for them. And so around the end of February, the title of Byrne's adventure became Arc of Infinity. The scripts began to arrive around this time, and unfortunately, the production team was still dissatisfied with Byrne's justification of the Amsterdam setting. And while the writer had included elements such as a fusion booster which only functioned below sea level, it was felt that the location remained largely irrelevant. However, no obvious solution to this problem presented itself at this stage, and so no significant adjustments were made to Byrne's scripts.
Oh, no.
And so Amsterdam remained largely irrelevant. Although Arc of Infinity was planned as the first story of Season 20, it would actually follow Snake Dance into production, so that the Amsterdam shoot would take place in the warmer May weather. Assigned as director, we have Ron Jones returning to the show. He had previously directed both Black Orchid and Time Flight from Season 19. Joining his core behind-the-scenes team, we have the only contribution to the show of production manager Ralph Wilton. He had previously been a production assistant on the unfinished story Sharda, and as a production manager, he also worked on Blake 7, The Tripods, and Tenko. As designer, we have Marjorie Pratt making her first and only contribution to the show. She's also known for work on Z-Cars, The Oneiden Line, and Juliet Bravo. As costumer, we have Dee Robson returning to the show for the second and final time. She had previously worked on Season 15's The Invasion of Time, so she had done Time Lord costumes before. And lastly, as composer, we have the return of Roger Lim. He's back for the fifth time. He had previously done the scores for Season 18's The Keeper of Traken, and then in Season 19 for Four to Doomsday, Black Orchid, and Time Flight. As pre-production progressed, Nathan Turner encouraged Dee Robson to deviate from Omega's previous costume from the Three Doctors. He thought that this would further help preserve the surprise of the villain's identity and could be justified by Omega's total control over mass and form in his antimatter domain. Among the guest stars cast by Jones in Arc of Infinity was Colin Baker, playing Maxil.
Woo!
Yes.
Baker had been suggested to Jones by assistant floor manager Lynn Richards on the basis of his Blake 7 episode, City at the Edge of the World. Although eager to appear in Doctor Who, Baker was disappointed that his involvement in Arc of Infinity would preclude him from ever portraying the Doctor himself. Wonder how that one turned out. As with Season 19, Season 20 would see 2 episodes aired each week. But whereas Doctor Who had been aired on Mondays and Tuesdays during Season 19, it would now be shifted to Tuesdays and Wednesdays. The exception was Arc of Infinity Episode 1, which instead aired on Monday, January 3rd, because the Tuesday time slot was reserved for the finale of Junior Kickstart. Before my time, I didn't know what that was.
You and your British weird television days.
I mean, have you ever tried to watch a show on a station that broadcasts football? I never know when the Great North is going to be on. This episode, the short summary is with Riley. Over to you, my friend.
Thank you. The Doctor is forced to see the Time Lords on Gallifrey to stop a mysterious antimatter creature from bonding with him. The coin flip the Time Lords did before he arrived landed on kill the Doctor instead of ask the Doctor for help, so they try to kill him by putting him in a dispersal chamber, which only disperses his mind to the Matrix and his body to, well, it's just hidden somewhere. Don't think about it. In the Matrix, the Doctor's mind is subjected to having someone manically adjust the V-hold on the TV monitor. Look that one up, kids. This is where we discover that the antimatter being is our old friend Omega. But this time he isn't a giant decaying CGI skeleton. Deal with that, RTD. Did I mention that there's a conspirator amongst the Time Lords? Nope. Why? Well, because I don't care about the Time Lords. Anyway, Tegan gets thrown back into the mix because her totally 80s cousin got shot by a giant walking pterodactyl in a crypt in Amsterdam. Yes, that really happened. In the end, the Doctor, Tegan, and Nyssa chase down Omega, who looks like Peter Davidson covered in cream spinach through the streets of Amsterdam, where, like in most Doctor Who stories, the Doctor wraps it all up by shooting the villain to death with a gun. The end.
That was so good.
All right, well, thank you for that, Riley, and let's get into talking about it.
Why are Time Lords such dicks?
Literally, my first note is we start with the Time Lords, so we know that some dickery is coming in this story.
You know, I think about them, and I think about how in this world of media, we like to expand universes, and I know the show was doing that with the Tale of Land and Sea or whatever the hell they're going to be doing next, but I can't imagine Julie's rage if they just did a intrigue conspiracy series all about Time Lords on Gallifrey and nothing else.
We're actually just going to have a series of different Gallifrey spin-offs. Like, we're going to have one that is the West Wing, but on Gallifrey. We're going to have one that is based around the Celestial Intervention Agency and, you know, all the shit they get up to. We're going to have a Leela spin-off.
I'll take the Leela spin-off.
Yeah,
I will take it.
Yeah.
That's going to be a soap opera about her marriage to Andred.
God, no. No. I take it back.
One Downton Abbey style of the States out on the...
Quick question. Okay, Time Lords. The Council get these wonderful, glorious, over-the-top robes and neck pieces, and then everyone else gets stupid, drab, brown robes?
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating that the High Council have become even more blinged up since we last saw them. Like, Borusa's cap had all sorts of embellishments to it, and Hedin had, to your point, Julie, that glorious neck piece. The Time Lords, the High Council, have become really decadent at this point. I feel like we're watching the final days of Rome or something.
I wondered if they didn't grab Time Council lady's outfit from the last stage of Something for Elizabeth I. The whole time. Yeah. I was just like, she's just missing some lead face paint and she's rocking Tudor era.
100% was thinking that, Diana.
Almost to a distracting level. I was like, that dress is too big. Too much sleeve puffs. I need her to be a little more functional there.
Yeah. And it was also at this point when I was like, oh, are we going to get more fan wink? Because lo and behold, every time we come to Gallifrey, there's usually more fan wink.
Gallifrey is prime for fan wank.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how it is, you know.
It's so funny because in New Who, Gallifrey is just kind of a thing. Half the time it doesn't even exist. And so I didn't have very strong opinions of it other than, oh, it sucks that it's completely destroyed. And now after watching Classic Who, I'm like, yes, destroy it. Let it be gone.
Yeah, let it be known that I am a fan of the fan wank, but I am not a fan of Gallifrey and Time Lords.
Or perhaps we should call it Gallowank.
Yes, Gallowank.
I'm here for it.
Oh, man. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, so let's talk about our shadowy figure, our conspirator that we don't see, the Dayglow guy. I have to say that at that moment, when I couldn't see really who was who, and I see our villains conspiring together, all I could think was, good God, this better not be the Master. Oh my God. I'm going to bust a blood vessel in my head if this happens. Luckily, that did not happen.
I was going to say, the good news is, not the Master.
Not at all. But I did find their back and forth very funny. For example, when... Sorry, it's just this is very, very funny to me. Is that when they get in there, the conspirator stops the transmission and he reports back to Omega. What did you do? How did you stop the transmission? And he's like, and I had an accident taking place. I mean, you shot him in the head? What are you talking about? You should have said I just shot him in the head. What accident?
That's a good point. Can we talk about what's going on in Amsterdam?
Oh, yeah.
I hated it so much.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Again, it didn't matter that it was Amsterdam, and so the whole premise just threw me off.
What do you think about the two characters, Frasier and Stewart?
Robin and Colin.
Sorry?
Frasier and Stewart were their last names. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wrong one got zombied.
I was feeling the same way. It's like, why did they pick the worst actor to be the one we get the most lines to?
I mean, the whole thing gives me kind of the ick because Robin is quite clearly trying to bang Colin.
Oh my God.
Like, he takes him down to this crypt, is like, why are you wearing so many clothes? And he's like, dude, it's cold down here. It's the most clearly gay scene in the show so far. I'm sorry, but Robin is just giving me the creeps. And as soon as there's trouble, he's like, yeah, I'm out of here.
And so Robin is the one that escapes, right? That's the one that... All right.
Yes.
This is so mean to say, but the actor playing Robin is the most middle-aged looking person in their 20s I've ever seen in my entire life. And I say that as a person who's middle-aged, but just fascinating. And what did we think about I called him a pterodactyl. He's more like a dehydrated pterodactyl, or he looks like Ripley from Metroid. But I love that guy. I wish I had more of him in the show. I think it'd been great just to have him pop out behind that little game show door and shoot somebody and go right back in, buddy.
I put him down as the mutant turkey, but yeah.
That's so good.
Okay, that works too.
Yeah, I was going down the turkey chicken route, but I get it.
I definitely am going to age myself when I say that I saw him as like a demonic Neopet.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately endeared me to him.
I get that. This is a weird story. We've got a couple of twinks being confronted by a mutant turkey.
Yeah, pretty much. In a crypt.
Meanwhile, the Wish.com version of H.R. Geiger has redesigned Omega.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all very weird. And also, Gallifrey has basically been, I guess they're going through hard times, or they've spent all their money on their robes, because the High Council are like sitting on,
bleachers.
Yeah. And Time Lords are just hanging around in the corridors, looking like they're probably drinking coffee or something.
Also, I remember in previous stories, there was all the pomp and circumstance, and now it's just like, no, we're just sitting in a little council room. Where's my guy with the stick? Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Time Lords lost all their money to a Nigerian prince scam. That's what happened. They've had to cut down on expenses since then.
Okay.
Hello, I am former President of Gallifrey, the Fourth Doctor. Currently living in exile, and I recently came into a large sum of money that I would like to share with you.
All right, couple of things. I want to talk about some of these special effects. The running in slow motion is something else. And I know we're not quite to where we're in the Matrix yet, but boy, it's very similar, and I have similar feelings about it. It's not my favorite. It's fine, but it's not my favorite.
I did like back in the very beginning of episode 1, when the multi-dimensional controller, whatever, takes over the TARDIS and you get that like melty film look. I really did like that.
The melty film looked good. The weird slow-mo thing was like too long.
The pacing and the editing of this whole thing, I was befuddled by. It was almost soap opera-ish, where they would have these shots where you would sit on the character for a second and then they would do the line. And I'm like, don't do that. Why did you not cut that? That's what you're supposed to cut.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
But hey, Colin Baker and Michael Gough, guys.
Yeah.
The best parts of this story are the two of them. Now, I heard rumor that they tried to get Colin Baker to tone down his acting. And I'm like, why would you do that? The fact that he's over the top makes him great. If you're going to have a multicolored plume.
What an ugly piece of shit.
Just go.
I want to talk about that hat because...
Oh, yes.
I love it. It's so good.
Did you notice how he very, very rarely wore it?
Because it's ugly.
Well, no, that's not why.
Because he's too like full of himself, and you must see his pretty face the entire time.
Well, they didn't measure the plume on it.
Oh my god, it's hit in the boom. Did it hit the boom?
No, he couldn't get through any of the doors while wearing it.
Oh.
That's for the best.
So he just carries it the whole time.
That feather was so bad.
I loved it because of how stupid, ridiculous it was. And then the fact that he was kind of stupid and ridiculous made it better.
I thought it was very good. I just also thought it was very, in the same way that I think that all of the Time Lord outfits are ugly as sin, which really goes into just how useless they are. And so, the more useless the outfit, the more appropriate I think it is for a Time Lord.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of shots in there where you can tell they can barely move their arms in them.
I keep thinking how heavy those must be.
Or like moving their entire upper body because they can't bend in any sort of way. Yeah.
Right. Or they can't really twist at the waist. They kind of have to just turn their whole body like Frankenstein.
They have to do the Schumacher Batman turn where they turn their whole body.
There you go. That's it.
So just going back to Maxil briefly, he's kind of a little bit of a fascist.
He loves his job.
Absolutely.
He loves his job. I wish I had that type of passion for my job.
When someone questions him, he threatens to have them arrested. And my personal favorite was when he was questioned about executing the doctor. His response was, "I'm only following orders." And all I was thinking was, "Oh, yeah, Herr Maxil, you're only following orders, yeah?"
Yeah. My thought was that was not a legitimate defense.
No, it wasn't after World War II, and it still isn't now.
Didn't fly in the Nuremberg trials. Not going to work here, my friend.
Nope.
But I loved him. I don't care if they said that he was almost overacting and trying to be like his own main character. Like, let him do it. It's fine. In his head, he's his own main character. Let it happen.
Maxil was a joy while I was stuck on Gallifrey, so absolutely made it great. That could have been so much worse without him.
I think if they're not overacting as Time Lords, then they've missed the brief.
So a little Colin Baker anecdote. There's a story in his era called Time Lash. We'll talk a bit more about that when we get to it, but one of the guest stars in it was Paul Darrow, who played Avon in Blake 7. And by the time City at the Edge of the World aired, Blake had left the show and Avon was effectively the lead character. And Colin Baker had gone in and massively overacted. And so when Paul Darrow is in the show on Time Lash, he does the same. And later, when Colin Baker asked him, years later, "Why did you overact so terribly on my show?" He went, "Well, you did it on mine, so I figured I'd return the favor." So there's precedent here for Colin Baker and overacting. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's so good. So we haven't talked about the Doctor much, but honestly, there's just a lot of other setup going on. And we get more Doctor moments in future parts. But it's basically him and Nyssa fixing the TARDIS because, it's a hunk of junk, like we all know. And then he's like, "Oh, now we're on Gallifrey." And he just knows all these passcodes because reasons, or just how to get through all the doors. Do we get introduced to Damon at this point?
Yes, Damon's in this pretty early. I like Damon.
I love him, and I would have loved for him to be a companion that I would probably like, but that is not what happened.
No, it's not. All right, so we're dwelling quite a long time on episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Where we are at the end is the Doctor and Nyssa on Gallifrey. We know Dickory's incoming. You just know it. Meanwhile, in Amsterdam, Robin's getting upset about Colin being missing, but, Colin's cousin's coming to town. And we end with Maxil shooting the Doctor in the shoulder. And that's our cliffhanger, and we're into part 2.
I feel like the 5th Doctor has already had 4 cliffhangers where it's appeared that he's been shot and killed. Am I wrong? It just seems a bit of a common thing they've been doing, which I don't remember with any other Doctor.
And there's more to come.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I do like getting introduced to Michael Gough, and then I'm like, you look like Alfred now. You've crossed that threshold from the first Doctor era to now looking like you're Alfred. Thank you very much.
The mystery was over once, I had a clear shot of him. Like, well, obviously it's going to be him. It's the celestial toy maker posing as a Time Lord. Of course he's the bad one.
Yeah, it was obvious from the beginning, and particularly when he's the only one being nice. He's the only one that's been advocating for the Doctor. Yeah, it's heading.
Well, we all know, like, in the past, the Castellan, he's an even more ultimate dick than a lot of the other ones, but he's always been fine at the end of the day.
Well, this is, of course, a new Castellan, a new unnamed Castellan.
I feel like the role is the same. So you couldn't replace the Castellan with a normal person. You have to set him up with one of the more ultimate Time Lord dicks. Am I wrong?
I just had a visual of them carrying around briefcases of like strap-ons. Got to pair him up with the ultimate Time Lord dick.
If some company decides to come out with a range of Doctor Who themed dicks, I want in.
I sense a business opportunity here.
And
No.
okay,
Oh,
I'm going to
man.
compose myself real quick.
I'm crying.
And once again, Riley's just like, oh God, why?
No, I have nothing to contribute to the conversation.
All right, so towards the end of part 1, yes, hey, it's Colin's cousin. 100% was like, hey, look, it's going to be Tegan. We all know it. She's not in uniform.
She's had a haircut.
And she's had a haircut. She looks totally different, but I still love her. And I'm hopeful that we're going to get multiple different outfits with Tegan.
Because she can't stay in that top.
Yeah, that's a very impractical top to be running around in.
Yeah, I bet. When I saw her, I felt very worried. I said, okay, kid, whatever you do, don't tell her that she's not at Heathrow Airport, that she's at the Amsterdam airport, or she's going to blow a fuse. But I was very happy to see her. I really was. I felt like maybe that would have been a good cliffhanger for the first episode, I think. Because no one knew that she was coming back, right?
Yeah, I don't think they did.
Yeah, see, that would have been better than seeing the doctor get shot for the 4th time and be fine. How about, hey, everybody, Tegan's going to be in the next episode. Here's a little teaser. Here you go.
And of course, that also means we get an airport for the second story running.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys.
We're going for 3.
You're going to be disappointed, Riley. Sorry. So this is a little bit of a weird episode because not a lot really happens, in my opinion, but we get a lot of random little continuity things dropped in. There's a mention of Romana, there's a mention of Leela, and it's just this intrigue that, candidly, is just difficult to care about until they're going to execute the Doctor.
I have a question. So while he's detained, right, arrested and all that, do Nyssa and Damon go to a bar?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Lots of little Time Lords just randomly sitting around, just hanging out. They might be having coffee. I don't know.
I just found that very interesting. And yet at the same time, I'm like, they don't feel like the type to just do that.
Yeah, it's weird because Gallifrey used to be this place of pomp and now it looks like a conference center with a bar.
It's just an office park now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I thought it felt like a little soap opera-y, was that there were just too many of these scenes where I was like, this is not necessary. I don't need to see this conversation. I don't need to see them walk down this hallway. I love the little nods to Romana and Leela, but I would have really appreciated a better understanding of why Omega is somehow deciding that he is in Amsterdam. Why is he in Amsterdam?
There's one line dropped in part 4 that I was going to talk about later, and it's a stupid throwaway line that means nothing.
Fundamentally, Omega's coming to Amsterdam because JNT wanted to film in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
That's Omega's reason. He was like, my producer. It's all got very meta.
I spent this whole episode, my notes are just trying to understand what was happening. Omega, is he antimatter? Is he not antimatter? Because you see him and you're like, yo, bro, you're definitely, I could touch you. That's not antimatter. So I don't know how you are both simultaneously antimatter and matter, because that is impossible. And I was so distracted by that through all of this that I just couldn't figure out what was happening because I wasn't sure if he was really antimatter or not, because he sure wasn't presenting that way.
Yeah, it's weird. And when we actually find out that, we'll come back to it because we don't yet know he's Omega. I want to talk about that when we find out that he's Omega.
Which is why I was doubly confused, because I didn't have any precedent for who or what this entity was. And they would say he's antimatter and he would show up in the conference call as an antimatter being, but then he would also simultaneously be matter. And so I thought he was just creating an illusion for the Time Lord to be antimatter, because anytime you see him, he's always matter.
Make antimatter great again.
No. Ew, gross.
I want to talk about Nyssa's action hero moment.
Yes.
Because trying to hold the High Council up and break the Doctor out, that was pretty badass.
She came around and popped those two motherfuckers in the chest like she knew what she was doing.
Yeah. I like this version of Nyssa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's, for almost the entirety, she's carrying it because the doctor's arrested half the time and Tegan's captured for the majority of it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my favorite part of part 2 is when they get to see Colin as kind of a zombie thing, but his facial expression reminded me of the brain control slugs from Futurama, you know, the ones that sit on people's heads.
That's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God, I really like that. And I was kind of hoping that would expand a little bit, but it only goes with Colin.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely what that is. Wow.
Yeah. I think it would have been a lot more fun if that was either spreading amongst people in Amsterdam or, oh God, please, if it started like spreading around on Gallifrey, that would be amazing. But no, just Colin. Doctor's on the execution block.
He is executed. Nyssa then looks distraught, and that's our cliffhanger into part 3.
No, there was absolutely no emotional buildup to that. And she slowly turns into facing the camera with streaming tears down her face.
Soap opera.
Oh, God, I hated that.
Yeah, that's soap opera style shooting. Yeah, it's nothing but that.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. Also, The Matrix. What is The Matrix? Because the last time I saw The Matrix, it was not that.
Right, it was a nightmare dreamscape, which was actually pretty cool. And now we have this weird thing that seems to be made out of a black background and some tinsel.
Right. And it looks like they're treading water while also doing kick-ass dance moves.
I don't know. It looks like the doctor is doing boat pose and yoga for the majority of the time. I don't like it.
It's not good, is it?
No,
it's not. And it gets worse when Tegan shows up. It's got that effect of like a person in a game show where one person's in a different room and they hear them. It just felt really awkward and weird and not in a fun way.
Mm-hmm. I will acknowledge that the background noise for The Matrix is my own personal hell. And so if I was locked in there, the difficulty I will have through this decade of the high electronic noises are absolutely mind grating for me. So that was pretty miserable.
I mean, for me, you touched on like the soundscapes, but also just the music itself.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the cat on the synth, but it's not that much better than Cat on the Synth. And it's one of those situations where, for the most part, I think I just am able to tune it out because I'm just like, if I just ignore the fact that it's there, it's like drone-ish type noise. But when I pay attention to it, it's god-awful. It's real bad.
So, moving away from that, I want to talk about how most of the Time Lords are blissfully unaware of the structure of how this story works. We're at the start of part 3, and most of them think that the creature has been expelled.
Yes.
The Castellan and Maxil seem to understand how the narrative of a Doctor Who story works, because without any evidence, they are suspicious of the execution, almost as if they know, oh wait, we're at the beginning of the second half of this story. Just a feeling I have, because they don't have a lot to go on.
I feel like the expectation of your military hotheads that they're going to get to see a pretty cool execution that's only ever been seen once before in history, and then he just kind of disappears. I feel like questioning why they didn't get to see somebody die brutally is a fair enough reason to go, that wasn't expected. Let's look into that. I wanted to see blood.
Bloodthirsty bastards.
And there was this one look that Colin Baker gave in part 2 when they're discussing the execution where, I don't know, just the look on his face was like kind of not suspicious, but I don't know. There was something about it where I was like, maybe this is his one hint that he thinks something isn't right. Or maybe I'm overthinking it.
Well, one of the things that I will give to the credit of the Time Lords is that they have a lot of history with the Doctor, and they are aware that he's a little weasel. They're the first of our bad guys, because, you know, they are bad guys, to basically be like, shoot that motherfucker on sight. Do not give him a chance to speak. Don't give him a chance to reach in his pockets. Nothing. They finally treat the Doctor like the dangerous entity that he is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did feel like their attitude towards him was understandable.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If they had killed him, Omega wouldn't have been able to come through.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually argue in this story, their decision to execute the Doctor in order to save a good chunk of the universe was actually a pretty solid decision.
Mm-hmm.
However, they do show themselves to also be wildly incompetent, repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that the president apparently falls victim to phishing scams.
That made no sense to me.
I mean, he doesn't cover his passcode at the ATM. That's clearly what's happening because Hedin had it, Hedin used it, made everything point to Borusa.
It's so bad. Like,
Yeah.
Borusa, how did you get to president? You're an idiot.
This is the third time we've seen Borusa, and he's been pretty competent in the past, as Time Lords go.
He got to president, and then he just let it all slide.
I've reached the pinnacle. I don't need to work anymore. Let me spend half my year playing golf on my various golf courses that I own on other planets. Yeah, narratively, it's a bit strange as well, because just as soon as it's all pointing towards Borusa, Hedin makes his move and effectively reveals himself. And the Doctor's reaction when he realizes that it's Hedin is like a parent. It's like, I'm not angry, I'm just very disappointed. Anyone else get that vibe?
Yeah, I get that. I tell you what, though. I mean, we might as well open this can of worms here. You guys say that Davison's the Doctor to you, but I am still not feeling it at all. It feels flat.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he doesn't have enough personality, and the personality that I've seen him do that has the most energy is him literally shouting at people. I mean, he shouts at Nyssa pretty harshly, and I remember him doing that in previous episodes in the last season. Just not feeling it just yet. And so, yeah, sorry to kind of like segue away. But
What's interesting, you say that. There was a moment where I think there's smaller moments, like very small moments, where I see doctor-y type things. Like, for example, there was one where he was trying to figure out which direction to go. And then he kind of like did a hair flip and all this other stuff, and I was like, ooh, that's kind of doctor-y, but it's like on a small scale. Like the quirks, the body movements, things like that. But yeah, the bigger moments that you would think you would get them, you don't necessarily get them. But also, like, it doesn't help that the dialogue wouldn't lend him to be a big doctor, because the dialogue falls flat a lot of the times as well.
And I think to defend me saying, yes, he's the Doctor, that was during Earthshock, a story where he really did have those doctor-y moments really for the first time. Whereas in this story, he spends so much of his time either under arrest or in the Matrix with Omega, that there's just not a lot of opportunity for him. And as Julie says, you get those little visual moments, but it's not quite there. You know what I mean?
Now, I do have a question. Okay, so he knows Hedin.
Yep.
How much time did he actually spend with these Time Lords? Because he's like, oh yeah, he's a friend. I'm like, you've been gallivanting off with all these companions for a good chunk of time, and yet you still have all these friends on Gallifrey? Every once in a while, I'm like, you probably haven't been friends with them for as long as you think you have, Doctor.
I kind of empathize with it because I've lived in America for 15 years. At this point, the majority of my adult life. But I go back to the UK and I see my friends that I was at high school with, and some of them it's my old friend. Like, I never left. So I sort of empathize with it. I mean, Hedin could have either been a classmate at the academy, or he could have been a teacher at the academy when the Doctor was there. One way or the other, I suspect that was where their interaction came.
Yeah, I just think, like, once you start hitting hundreds of years, that even though, yes, I know their lifespan is much different, it just, I don't know. I feel like with greater time, regardless, things would change. I don't know. It also doesn't help that this is the first introduction to this character, and it's like, hey, we're good friends, and I'm like, I've never heard of this man before.
Right. It makes it feel a little more real with Borusa, because we've seen Borusa a few times. You can actually believe there's a relationship there, and it was established that Borusa was one of his teachers.
Yeah, even if he had said, my old friend that I knew from the academy,
Yeah, they would have given it a bit more. My old friend from our academy days.
Now, another question that I have. Okay, so we're in this moment where Hedin also is telling the Doctor and Borusa and everything, and then he's willing to throw himself in front of the gun to die in order to make this happen? What I don't understand the logic there. It's very hard for me to understand why he would be willing to do that.
Because you don't understand fanaticism because you are not a fanatic.
Yeah, just total susceptibility to the brainwashing. You know, he really thought that Omega was going to come and like lower the price of eggs. And then it turns out I can't afford an egg. So he died for the cause. He didn't get to see that Omega is really crazy and was promising him nothing.
Right.
Oh.
Anyway, we end the episode with Omega in control of the Matrix, and that's our cliffhanger into part 4.
Part 4 has my second favorite. Actually, I guess it would be my third because Pterodactyl is my favorite. Third favorite part, which is I was watching on closed caption, like you do. And during one of the scenes in part 4, where Omega is speaking through either the Matrix or some sort of screen, at the end, it just says in parentheses, growls angrily. Or no, excuse me, growling angrily. And I really liked that. I like that a lot.
I really like when the closed captioning people come up with very good words to use for some of these things. It's pretty fantastic. All right. One thing that I kind of put into a kind of Dr. E type category is obviously Tegan kind of lets things slip, right, of what information the doctor needs. And so they go into a telephone booth and he basically looks into the yellow pages. And while we laugh at it, also at the same time, like that is a doctor thing to do because he knows Earth. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Check the pages because Omega wouldn't think about that.
I think the one thing that was missing from that is I wish Nyssa had been a little more confused about it.
Yes.
I wish she'd been a bit more like, what is this? You can look people's numbers up in a book? What?
And the asking for money and the look she gives him is the look of like, whop, whop, should be like, what are you talking about? What is this thing that needs money? I don't understand. I think it would have been great because one of the clues that Tegan leaves is JHC. 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 I was hoping that he would go into the phone booth and go to the phone book and look JHC. Jesus H. Christ. Got it.
That would have been amazing. That would have been absolutely fantastic.
Honestly, I really don't know how the fuck they connected that to getting into the crypt. I know they went to the hostel and the very nice Dutch people recognized the Australian connection, but outside of that, I guess the name of the hostel was JHC abbreviation?
Yes.
Because it looked like it was close to it, but it didn't have the C at the end or something.
Yes, they could deduce that there were several in this chain. And so they could go round 3 or 4 and find the right one. One thing we missed before Tegan and Robin got captured was they go to a cafe. And I just wanted to come back to this since we're back in Amsterdam. I was wondering if that might have been one of those cafes.
I think that's why they wanted to shoot the episodes there.
Actually, none of this story happens. And it's just Tegan and Colin being really fucking high.
That's why Omega wanted to get down to Amsterdam. He had some of the chronic. And he can't feel anything when he's in the antimatter realm or whatever. He needs something strong.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Let's talk about Omega's transfer because we get all sorts of oozing with slime.
Hey, Riley, how did you like that?
I don't know why, but it's getting better because I couldn't help but laugh. And I was thinking, is he melting or is he leaking or both? He just turns into a pile of goo. And then in the end, when the doctor shows up, he's kind of just shuddering and shaking and like a bowl of Jell-O. Yeah, you're right. Because the mask for the actor, they put divots in it to kind of show him. Yeah, I found it really funny, not necessarily gross, but it did hit the unnecessary level. Yes. It
is also around this time that we do get some of that conversation that I was talking about of the throwaway line as to why it's Amsterdam. Because the doctor is like, because Amsterdam is located on the curve of the arc. Excuse me? Yeah. What? No lead up, no explanation, just the doctor stating it as a fact and moving on. It's so bad.
And can someone please explain to me what the plot function is of the Arc of Infinity in the story?
That part, every time they mentioned it, I was like, what is it, though?
Because, I mean, I know what's happening. I know that Omega is trying to take over the Doctor's body, and he goes, blah, 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 and now he's going to, complete a transfer. But where does this arc of infinity come in?
From what I understand, and what I'm making up probably, is there needed to be a combination of the arc of infinity with the Matrix to then be able to form a being that he could shift his antimatterness into.
Then what was his outfit in Amsterdam? Like, when he's there, he's got a physical form. Like, what?
Yeah. You know what? I think in my headcanon, Arc of Infinity is just the name of the strain they bought while in Amsterdam.
Basically, what was meant to happen was the Arc of Infinity is kind of that intersection point, and he's using the power of it in combination with the Matrix to effectively generate a body that he is based on imprinting himself on the Doctor. It's very convoluted. It doesn't quite make sense. It's pretty stupid, really, but it's what it is. Do you want to hear something ridiculous from the expanded universe?
Oh no.
Always.
Oh, no.
There was a short story published in Doctor Who magazine in 1993 called Antimatter with Fries.
Oh, my God.
And effectively, Ace gives the Ergon a portion of fries that Omega is able to eat because a fast food restaurant had passed through the Arc of Infinity.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, boy.
I think is the greatest thing ever. And Omega complains about the lack of salt.
I can't right now.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
So Omega eats through the mosquito guy?
No. The mosquito guy brings Omega the fries.
Okay.
So Ace
Got
gives
it.
the mutant turkey the fries. The mutant turkey gives them to Omega. Omega complains about the lack of salt.
Also, okay, I like the little aside, but I want to get back to this arc not making sense because there's more.
Oh.
Okay, so while Davidson is getting into fisticuffs, because we needed that apparently, because now he's Fighty Man, apparently the reason why Omega then ends up starting to deteriorate is because the arc shifts. But there was no action taking place to shift the arc. So did it just shift on its own?
That's what it's like with those arcs, man. Totally unpredictable.
Was that what the horseshoe thing was?
No, that was just a power amplifier.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Got it.
God. We're going into the weeds too much on this. Come on. They didn't care.
I have tried here to justify and explain this plot with a certain amount of headcanon. I'm done.
The scientific elements of the show are done like a Mad Lib. Just let it go, all right?
They were so focused on how can we make Amsterdam relevant that they forgot to make the rest of it make sense.
Except they didn't make Amsterdam.
But they didn't even do that, yeah.
They didn't make it relevant, but they sure got their money's worth because starting at 1408 in part 4, we have a chase scene. I will take bids or guesses from everyone. At what minute in the episode do we catch up with Omega at the pier? We start at 1408. What do you say, Anthony?
I'm going to say 1930.
Okay, Diana.
I'm looking more at 28.
Well, there's not 20. There's
what?
not 28
Yeah, there's not 28 minutes.
How long was the episode?
24.
Okay, 20 minutes.
20 minutes. And Anthony, you said?
19 and 30.
Julie?
I was sitting somewhere in the 19 category, so I'll go right in the middle at 1945.
It's 2048.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I started at 1408 when Omega gets the groundskeeper and changes. That's where I start the chase. 2048 of scenes running through Amsterdam and nothing else fucking happens. If they were going to do it, at least have Omega crash through two guys moving a pane of glass or a fruit stand or something.
Instead, he smiles very creepily at the young child.
But that was the best part. That was my favorite part. God, that was such good acting. That was such good acting.
I was sitting there thinking, Pedo Omega is not real. Pedo Omega cannot hurt you.
There's that. There's how many people got knocked over.
Yeah, a fair number.
And I wonder if that wasn't scripted and they just were accidentally running into random Dutch people.
I suspect that may well be the case.
Doctor Who is banned from ever filming in Amsterdam for how many people they crashed into.
So, funny thing about filming in Amsterdam, apparently All Creatures Great and Small was enormous in the Netherlands. And there were crowds that developed around Peter Davison, not because of Doctor Who, but because they recognized him from All Creatures Great and Small.
Oh my god.
I love. Another thought, all those shots of the Time Lords just standing around nervously while we get all those annoying panning shots of Amsterdam. I was getting vibes of like Obama's war room when they were taking out Bin Laden. You know, they're just like sitting there waiting for this mission to come off with not actually being able to do anything. That was the vibe I was getting.
Yeah, I could see that.
Incredibly poor paste at the end.
And then there's like the random throwaway line of like, I found it unwise to estimate what the doctor can or cannot do. And literally he just ends up shooting him. Like, not anything clever. It's so bad. It made me sad.
But see, then there is one thing that actually is really disappointing is that when they corner him on the pier, the doctor has his back and forth with Omega, and then the doctor kind of complains to him, like, why did he do this? Why couldn't he have been content to survive where you were? I'm like, motherfucker, I was in antimatter limbo going insane. What the hell are you talking about? I mean, what do you mean be content there? What type of nonsense is that? That's the same type of nonsense that says that I made an accident happen when you shot someone in the head.
Or when you threw them off a roof.
Yes.
At the end, also, when Borusa says, my hope is that he's found peace at last. Talking about Omega like I talk about my ex-wife.
And then Tegan is like, oh, basically she's back, right? Because she lost her job. First off, how did she lose her job? Was she really that bad at it? And two, did the doctor look thrilled to have Tegan back?
He looked so disappointed.
He's like, fuck, I just got down to just one. I was having a good time with Nyssa and all those adventures Big Finish made between Time Flight and now.
Kind of circling back to Riley saying that he's just not really it yet. Part of where I said yes earlier was because that's just like the vibe this doctor gives me, where he's just like not great. Like, I don't particularly love this one. It's because they choose to film his reaction as disappointment that Tegan is coming back. We cannot give this woman a fucking break. Like, you didn't mean to leave her behind. You could at least be at any point excited to see her, happy to see her. You were that excited to see Damon and you haven't seen him in nigh on a couple centuries. And Tegan's like, hey, I'm a hang. I got a new outfit. And you're like, fuck.
Well, to be fair, she did spend most of season 19 complaining. So I can kind of get it. Until Black Orchid, when she finally came around.
They were starting to be friends and like, oh, don't we have a good time? Let's sing and dance. Let's be fun. And now no, shut up.
I do want to say, I think I know why she got fired. We all know the Doctor's timekeeping and ability to steer the TARDIS isn't great. I suspect that Time Flight happened about 4 or 5 months after what was meant to be her first day. So she just was seen as never having shown up for work. So when she showed up and was like, hey, I'm here, they were like, yeah, we hired someone else because you didn't show up for work 4 months ago.
Has that never actually been covered by Extended Universe? Like, it's never been dropped in a throwaway line? Oh, Tegan got fired cuz.
Give me a minute.
Starting the clock.
It's that important.
I just assumed, she's a mouth with legs. As quoted by Tegan. Tegan said it first. Oh my God.
Okay, so apparently, and this happened in Big Finish in a story I apparently heard once, but it would have been about 10 years ago. She got fired because she assaulted an unruly passenger mid-flight during her first year.
That makes sense.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
It tracks.
I'm in. Yep.
So thank you for that, Big Finish. All right, well, with that, we've got Tegan back, and that's the end of our story. So let's start off with our metrics. No quarries were featured in the making of this story, or harmed in the making of this story, for that matter. We had no jelly babies. Did anyone catch any I'll explain laters?
I didn't.
No.
Okay. Camp count.
It wasn't campy, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I want to give a point for Gallifrey looking like a conference center and the over-embellished robes that the High Council now wear.
Well, then it would just be the robes, and I don't see how an understated office park would be campy.
Half a point for the robes.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and rate this one, and I get to go first this time. This isn't great, guys. It's not terrible either. There are a lot of issues here. There are elements I did kind of enjoy watching, but there's just a lot that doesn't quite make sense or is poorly explained, and some padding, ultimately. I do have some concerns about how the show just thinks that it can plop Omega down in the middle of the story. He hasn't featured for 10 years, and who he is barely explained. There's almost this expectation that people remember in an era before VHS or DVDs or streaming. So this is handling things pretty badly. The Time Lords, again, now seem to be living in a conference center. The Matrix looks terrible. I don't love the redesign of Omega. I don't know. But equally, Tegan's back. Nyssa's actually pretty good. Michael Gough's incredible. Colin Baker's fantastic. The actor who played Colin gets to do that wonderful slack-jawed look that Riley pointed out from Futurama. So, there are things I enjoy in this, but it has a lot of problems. So I can't really justify giving it a high rating, but I don't feel like it actually deserves a bad one. This isn't 4 to Doomsday. So I think for me, this gets 5 mutant turkeys out of 10. Julie?
It's really not good. It's really not. The plot is weak. The music kind of grated on my nerves when I actually paid attention to it. The special effects were not great, and I just think that they chose poorly on what they were doing with some of their characters and bringing back Omega for no real reason. I mean, yes, Colin Baker and Michael Gough stole the show. I thought they were incredible. Sad that they were not really in part 4, to be perfectly honest. And I just think that things were not up to snuff. I probably enjoyed talking about it more than I enjoyed watching it. Lo and behold, that happens sometimes here at Doctor Who. But I'm going to give it 4 out of 10 knocked over Dutch shoppers.
Right. Riley, you're up next.
The things I liked. Pterodactyl guy, Omega's new look, Maxil's hat, Omega's creepy smile, and Tegan being back. What I didn't care for, the pacing, the writing, and Time Lords. I can't say I hated it, but it certainly wasn't enjoyable. So that's 5 Omegas growling angrily out of 10.
And last but not least, Diana, take it away.
I loved it. No, just kidding. I did not enjoy this. I didn't even have a good time in the I don't understand what's going on in this, which sometimes I can enjoy. This one, I was very distracted about all of the things that I didn't understand. The Arc of Infinity. Was he antimatter? Was he not antimatter? Why Amsterdam? I understand that we're trying to film as much as Amsterdam as possible because we didn't figure out how to fit it into the plot. But the fact that basically episode 4 is a visual tour of Amsterdam between the chase scene and the hunting for the hostel was undoubtedly one of my least favorite things, which is insane because I also didn't like the sound and the rest of the pacing and the presence of the Time Lords and their outfits and just so much. I did enjoy Mr. Pterodactyl Man because he was really adorable, which really saved a lot of it every time he was on screen. I also liked Colin's socks. I thought they were a weird choice to be vibrant green, but I loved them. So I am giving this story, again, 5 Neopets with Dark Soul skins out of 10.
All right, well, that gives us an average for the story of 4.75. And as a season opener, that makes it the weakest since Destiny of the Daleks, based on our completely arbitrary ratings. Well, as always, that brings us to the end of the episode. We will be back next time when we will be talking about Snake Dance, also known as Kinder 2 Electric Boogaloo. But in the meantime, thank you everyone so very much for listening, and as always, have a good one. You have been listening to Watchers in the Fourth Dimension with Diana Burney, Riley Schreck, Julie Philippak, and myself, Anthony Williams. This episode, Not Angry, Just Very Disappointed, was recorded on Wednesday the 16th of July 2025. If this is your first time listening into the show, all of our previous episodes are available wherever you like to get your podcasts. You can interact with us on Facebook and Instagram at Watchers4D, and you can also email us at watchers4d@gmail.com. We are also available on our Discord server. The link to that is in the show blurb. If you're enjoying the show, please do subscribe and consider leaving us a review or rating on your favorite podcasting app. All of those things really do help the show. And always remember, perfection is the enemy of progress. This is a lesson that I'm learning the hard way.